Today's soap is going to be scented with Glam Apple. It's empty right now because it's sitting in some Kaolin Clay. This fragrance oil was actually a gift from my friend Laura, who also has a soap channel called Cabbage Patch Soaps. Check her out. She's a good person. But I didn't quite have enough Glam Apple, so I'm also adding some Green Apple fragrance oil. I'm going to be using a little bit of green mica for a green swirl and some uncolored batter. This is also going to be an equal parts lye and water batch and a 4-pound batch. So again, I'm being risky with trying to do a swirl. It's worked once, so we're gonna try again. Remember my lilac soap? That went nice and swirly. So I'm also going to make some little apple embeds with a mold, not by hand. I'm going to do melt and pour apple embeds. I'll show you that too. If you want to see it, I'll show that too. There'll be red apples, but the soap will have a green swirl because, you know, green and red apples. So let's go. Fragrance oil, Kaolin Clay, and sugar are in here. And the lye water. There's a little bit of lye lint today. Doesn't matter. Let's hope for the best. Okay. Pour some in the green here. Mix that in. And then let's fill these before anything crazy happens. All right, things are going okay so far. I'm so grateful. Yep, it's thickening up, but it's nothing to be concerned about. This is great. I'm just gonna pour it in for a bit of a swirl. Pour it on one side mostly. Try to get these layers even. And of course I needed to spill because, oh my goodness, I needed to spill again because, you know, it's like documents aren't really official without a coffee stain, right? Well, soap isn't really official without a nice unintentional mess. I don't really believe that. I'm just talking. Especially when the mess gets like under the mold and on the wood part. That's just the way it's supposed to go. Scrape this clean. If it's still thin enough, maybe I'll put a chopstick through it for fun. But I'm kind of thinking I'm going to leave it and see what it looks like in there. Usually if the batter's thicker than water or thicker than olive oil, it'll make a nicer swirl. But also usually if I think it'll be a nice swirl, what happens? Kind of funny looking. We'll definitely decorate the top with my favorite Infinity Swirl. It's so simple and turns out to be so beautiful. Oh yeah, look at this, thickening up. Nope, we're not going to do any chopstick swirls, that's for sure. Okay. Oh yes, good thing I didn't have anything more dramatic than the design I made because it would have been ruined. Wouldn't it? Yep, this is thickening up real well. All right, we're done. Ugh, sigh of relief, I tell ya. So my mold here looks filthy because I already made these. This is my second round of apples because 10 is not enough. And what I do to make a brown stem, I have some brown mica and a little brush, and I take a little mica and just put it in the stem here. And then kind of paint it into it. And that is enough to make the stem brown. I only need 8. Maybe I should make them all brown just in case I have a little bit of leftover melt and pour. So in here I've got chunks of clear melt and pour because I only have clear at the moment, which is fine. And then I usually just put the mica right on top of the unmelted melt and pour. And here is our melt and pour. Stir in the mica powder. This method works quite well for me. All right, we're ready to pour. Let's see how it goes. I need to make it all the way up to the stem. Perfect. We might have about the perfect amount of melt and pour. Isn't that beautiful? And then spray it with a little rubbing alcohol to get rid of bubbles. And that is that. Great thing about melt and pour is it does not take quite as long as cold process soap. Well, those are lovely. You see the brown stem I managed to make. Perfect. I love them. They're perfect. Great. Now let's attach them to the soap, shall we? We shall. Oh, it's been 5 hours. I think we're ready. We're going to find out right now if we're ready. Oh, it's coming apart real well. I think we are ready then. Okay, lovely. It's still a little bit warm, but it's very smooth. Wonderful. Okay. Great. Man, it really is amazing that I made this cold process soap 4 or 5 hours ago. I'm unmolding it and I'm gonna cut it. It's just, after I've been making soap since 2019 and it's 2023, and all these years I've always known to wait at least a day before you could cut your soap. And here we are learning that that's not necessarily required, is it? Sample slice. Nice. Clean cut. Very smooth. Lovely. Okay, let's see if we can find any kind of drop swirl, I guess you would call it. Oh, there's a little something in there. Looks like here we have a hole. That's okay. A nice little drop over there in the corner. You see, I intentionally tried to leave room for my apple, which is going to be in the part that doesn't have any green. So the apple's going to go over here. That's pretty. Look at that. Kind of looks like grass or a plant or something over there. Neat. I'm surprised how similar these ones all looked. Yeah, I'm really surprised how similar they look. I really like them. It's like a little frame on the side, a little embellishment. Are we too close? Is my camera too close right now? Maybe I should move it back a little bit. Do you feel like you're claustrophobic here? How about that? Great. I am very happy with this loaf. Look at that. Well, there's a tulip, a green tulip. The next loaf. Our first bar. Cool. A little bit more green in this batch. Yeah, that's cool. I like it. Even though I think I prefer a little less green. Like I think I like the first loaf's design a little bit better. But this isn't too much green. I think this is about the maximum amount of green I would have wanted in the loaf. So look at that. Isn't that neat? Isn't that cool? It's so fun seeing what the soap decides to do. Wow, look at that. That is so cool. I love, it's like double drop. Well, I guess I did drop it in twice. There's like 3 actually. It's so neat. I'm glad I poured it as fast as I did because I know if I waited even 2 minutes longer, maybe even 1 minute longer, it wouldn't have worked out. It would have been blobs of soap instead. There wouldn't have been any swirl. I guarantee. So, oh, neat. Interesting. And the final cut. All right, that was great. Very successful. I'm very happy. First of all, I want to clean my corners because if I attach the little apple and then clean the corners, I oftentimes will nick the apple with the blade. Which I want a new one of these. Do you have any recommendations of where you would get one where you like those? I'm also going to stamp it, and I'm going to stamp the side that has green. I can't believe I made this soap today, and I'm able to stamp it and all that today. Okay, I take a needle. It doesn't have to be a needle. I bet you could use a toothpick probably. And I scratch the back of my embed. I also scratch where I want to put it. I'm going to make up my mind and put it right there. Then I take water, just regular water, nothing fancy or special or anything you got to spend a bunch of money on. And I basically make a glue with the bubbles from the soap. Yes, it is good enough. It really is. See that? And then place it where you want it and press down so that it almost suctions into it, practically. I could totally use these in the fall for pumpkins, couldn't I? By the way, the mold I used for these apples was a gift from my friend Renee. I have a lot of generous friends. It's very humbling. So I'm going to continue to do this with all of them. I think I'll put it where I think it just looks the best. I think that's going to be my decision. So let's move on to my outro where I tell you what it smells like and how it's doing after a day or so. Well, it actually has not been days. It is the same day. I made this soap this morning. It still just is mind-boggling that you can make the soap and cut it the same day, cold process, if you use equal parts lye and water. It's just amazing. Swirls turned out very nice, didn't they? And as you saw, there wasn't time. There was no time. So, like I've said before, if you're wanting to do a design, I do not recommend equal parts lye and water. But if you know your fragrance oil is slow moving, do it. Because I knew that the apple fragrance oil was slow, so that's why I tried to do the swirl thing. Although I still expected something crazy was going to happen. Like very thick batter, very fast. Which it was decently fast. You saw. It's a very nice apple smell. It's a little bit sweeter than just straight apple. It's almost like a pretty apple, actually. Kinda. So glam apple made sense. And then you got green apple mixed in there. And it's just, yep, worked out nice. The apple embeds stuck on there real well. Got my side stamp. Everything just went really well. I'm so grateful. After the past 2 equal parts lye and water batches that were just a job, and wasn't fun. It's nice to finally have a nice, smooth, swirly, pretty bar. Thank you for watching. I wonder what I'm making next week. It'll be interesting.